Hey, what up, everybody out there? This is Duran again. Got one off the cuff. Today's Thursday, May 8th, 2025. And what's happened? Well, sounds like the Vatican has voted. It sounds like, yeah, they voted their new cardinal to be the next pope. Pope Leo, I believe, is the name that he'll take on. Now, this is going to be a short one because I don't have any script in front of me and I don't have the content of the article that I reviewed. But I'll just kind of go off the cuff with it. So what I recall from the article that I read, it sounds like this gentleman this gentleman came from the Chicago area. So this is going to be the Roman Catholics' first pope, derives from American descent, and I guess that this is something that's been unprecedented. Typically doesn't occur this way because Roman Catholic churches typically oppose leadership that has derived from the United States. So I guess they're taking a new direction with this one. As I was saying, this guy came from the Chicago area, age 69. The 6 and the 9, that's got that whole yin yang looking appearance as far as numerically holding that value, the 6 and the 9. I was also looking at some of the zodiac signs that kind of looks like the Pisces, the sign of Pisces. Interesting little detail there. What else about that I find interesting? Well, the previous Pope Francis, when he passed away and expired, he was age 88. There again is a very significant number. The duplicate 888. It's time and space, Ouroboros. Interesting number there. So another significant aspect about this story, the time frame, the timeline, the way it's all playing out is, of course, most of us throughout the world celebrated the Easter holiday this past month, and then, of course, Pope Francis passed away. And I remember watching some video clips of, world leaders that went there to the Vatican to pay their respects. And, Zelensky from the Ukraine was there. And he got a large round of applause, standing ovation. But then when the Donald walked through there, it was like stone cold silence. Interesting. They didn't get a whole lot of admiration for his appearance, apparently. But then, after that, I guess there was some remarks made from our POTUS that, hey, I think I could be a good pope, What do you think of that idea? You just throw it around. And, it wasn't long after that, there was AI images that characterized the Donald as a pontiff. It was a pretty funny characterization. But, of course, people in this world are easily triggered and offended, and, they saw that and said it was a bad look. I mean, you were just at the man's funeral. Now you joking around about being the next pope. A little distasteful, right? Which it truly is, but it's our president. But that was just some of the events that have taken place recently, and like it or lump it, that's what's happened. So now here we go. It just seems like these are it's almost like this is the trailer for the next episode of World Religion 2.0. I wish I had that article in front of me because there was a statement that was made that kind of expressed what the cardinals those that were voting at the conclave what it was that they wanted to express out of the next pope. You know, that it began with a statement of saying, you know, that we wanted an individual that could be a bridge for, you know, helping the disoriented humanity through the crisis of the world order. I'm paraphrasing. That's what I read there in that statement. That's a very loaded statement to make about, you know, like the expectations of what you want out of the next pontiff, I'm sorry, pope. And, you know, that expression just kind of shows me, reveals to me, like, okay, this is what you want. Okay? So you want them to be a bridge. You're calling humanity itself disoriented with the crisis of the current world order. So let's see what they get out of this one. Age 69 from Chicago. It ought to be interesting. Why do I find that interesting? Well, again, symbolically, maybe the little joke of, you know, the Donald saying, I'd be a good pope, was a way of saying that the next pope would come from America. And here we go. We got one now. Another aspect about that is the area from America. Chicago. Who else came out of Chicago? That was, right, B.O., Barack Obama. You know, he was the community coordinator, right? Who just flashed on the scene like a bolt of lightning. You know, taking the Democratic stage at those conventions way back when. Can't believe it was that long ago. So, I don't know. But if you were looking for a leader to represent that religion, and you're looking at this fallen world order, and you know, this American way of life that's definitely under duress, definitely you know, struggling with its image. You gotta wonder what direction are they going with this. I believe the Donald in recent weeks made comments about you know, the separation of church and state, whether that is still a good one or not. You know, if that's a good policy to uphold or not. You know, it seems that this presidency is almost kind of like trying to exalt itself to the level of a deity, you know, because the executive office in recent administrations has really you know, expressed its power to great extremes, you know, very far-reaching executive powers, you know, and of course the powers that be never let our crisis go to waste. Well, you know, if the pandemic is not an example to you as far as what the executive branch can do to a nation and the world, then I don't know what to tell you. So when you have new leadership installed at the Vatican of somebody that was a cardinal here in the U.S., we know what the U.S. policies have looked like. Not necessarily popular in the world abroad. What does that mean for the future going forward? I don't know. But what if this is a leader that ends up being a false one? The prophet of falsehoods, false teachings, deception. Because ultimately, that's what any religious leader is in this time frame. If they do not call for repentance, turning from our wicked ways, and asking for God to heal our land. You know, that's a paraphrase of 2 Chronicles. You know, because it seems in my lifetime, in the maturity and development that I've gained in learning about this world and faith and, you know, how religion works, is that words can be twisted, manipulated, and construed in such a way that the interpretation at the end no longer reflects what the original was. And we can see that happen very readily in the translations of scriptures. You know, adultery becomes affair becomes a tryst, or whatever, you know. So there's a lot of blurred lines in the world, and I believe that that's being done deliberately from evil and wicked powers that want to lead humanity into darkness and depravity, not even knowing the extent of sin that it practices, because, you know, they just keep pulling you along in deception into a pit that has no bottom. And you know, the conscience of mankind just becomes even more seared, not knowing what the moral compass is anymore, what right and wrong is anymore. And that's a sad state of being to be in, but that's where we're at, unfortunately. So we must call on a power greater than ourselves to take us out of this darkness, out of this wickedness, out of the leadership that, you know, says good is evil when evil has become good. So that's just another way to think about it. But tell me what you think. I'd like to hear your thoughts, and it helps stir more conversation, more ideas and thought. And you know, it's all about bringing what's relevant to the forefront for discussion, because that's what really matters. Not the trivial, not the superficial, not the, you know, what Steph Curry was wearing when he dropped a dime on the, I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say, right? But thanks for listening. We'll do another one soon. This is Duran signing off the cuff. Peace.